Hey guys, so I want to share my experience climbing Mount Fuji with you guys. And the main reason I want to do that is because I found that most of the videos on YouTube about Mount Fuji don't accurately represent the difficulty of climbing Mount Fuji. It's not simple. It's actually kind of hard, and you need to bring some things with you. You can't really just go in regular clothes and shoes and expect to be able to make it to the top without being completely exhausted or getting sick or something. So I want to tell you guys about my experience and maybe give you some suggestions on what you should bring with you if you do decide to climb Mount Fuji yourself. And I just want to say that I'm probably going to get a lot of comments from Japanese people saying that I'm anti-Japanese or I'm racist or something because I have some negative things to say about my experience, but obviously I'm not anti-Japanese. I live in Japan, for Christ's sake. I just want to share my truthful experience with you guys so that you really know what to expect when you get up there. So, that being said, I started climbing the mountain around 8:30 p.m. Me and 5 of my friends took a bus from Shinjuku to the 5th station on Mount Fuji. There are 10 stations, I believe, so we started from halfway up the mountain. You can take a bus halfway up, and I think that cost about, God, how much was it? 2,500 yen, 2,500 yen, maybe like 30 bucks or something to get up there. And unless you want to spend like a solid 24 hours going up and down the mountain, I recommend you starting at the 5th station. Lots of people do that. So we started climbing around 8:30 p.m. And the first thing we did was buy a hiking stick. There's lots of different kinds. You can buy these when you arrive at the 5th station. This was 1,000 yen, so $10, $12. I got one with a flag on it because it looks awesome. And I tied my flashlight to it. I climbed Mount Fuji at nighttime, like 8:30 p.m. I started, so it was pitch black. And this is the only flashlight I brought, which is kind of stupid. It's LED, so it's pretty bright, but I recommend bringing a larger flashlight. Useless. So we started on the path up the mountain. The first part of the mountain was pretty simple, just like a walking path, and it wasn't too steep or anything. The only problem was it was pitch black. There are no lights on the mountain, so flashlight is very important, and bring extra batteries for sure, because if you run out of batteries, you're literally screwed. You won't be able to see like 2 feet in front of you. So the first part of the mountain was simple. It was just like a walking path, except for it was pitch black, so if you're not careful, you can like fall off the side of the mountain. There aren't many boundaries, like there isn't a fence or anything along the path, so be very careful and stay away from the edge of the mountain. Okay, so we just got onto the path on the mountain, and it's super dark. We can't see anything. Like here, I'll show you guys what it looks like in front of us. Yeah.
Spooky.
Creepy forest. So we're walking in the dark, and we've got little flashlights that hopefully will last our trip.
Hopefully we'll find them.
Oh, thank you. It's raining a little bit, but it's not bad at all. So we're pretty lucky. It looks like the weather won't be too bad, at least so far, anyways. So yeah, we will see you guys later. Bye. Bye bye. A couple hours were easy. I remember that, and then it started to rain. And at first we thought, oh, it's nice and refreshing. It was just a little rain, and we were exhausted, so the rain felt nice. But then it started to turn into a typhoon, like literally the worst weather I've seen since I've come to Japan. The wind was so strong that I was blown over by the wind, and at some points we had to like go low to the ground so that the wind wouldn't blow us off the mountain. Like, it was ridiculous. And the rain was super strong as well, which was not fun because It is not all like gravel paths. There are also parts of the trail where you have to climb up stones, kind of like, I guess they were manually put there, but kind of like they're placed into the mountain and you have to climb up those, like even using your hands at some point. It was really steep. And when those got wet by the rain, it was so hard to climb. And it's pitch black, so you can't exactly see where you're putting your feet unless you have your flashlight pointing down at your feet, but you also want to see, you know, ahead of you too, right? So that was difficult. I recommend a headlamp. Lots of the climbers had a headlamp, and that looked like it made it a lot easier for them. But yeah, be careful where you're putting your feet, because if you step on a rock that's loose, or a really slippery rock and you slip and like bash your knee, then you're stuck on the mountain in the pitch black with like a hurt leg. And that's one other thing, nobody is gonna come save you. When the weather is bad, people don't patrol the mountain. So like if someone gets hurt, then you're screwed unless, you know, you have a partner with you that can go to a station and ask for help or something. But the stations are hours apart. It's not like, you know, it's not something to take lightly. Make sure that you bring, you know, band-aids and stuff with you just in case. And be very careful. Walk slowly. I fell a few times. Luckily, I didn't get any serious injuries, just some bruises and scrapes and such. But we were very lucky in that respect. Let me just think. It's been a while now. I wanted to make this video right when I came back, but I was so exhausted that I had a super high fever and I was throwing up all day, but that's another story. So let me try and remember. Yes, then the typhoon started, so that really freaking sucked. And even though it's summer, it was very cold. Like the top of the mountain is completely different weather than down in Tokyo or down at the bottom of the mountain even. It's completely different. So even though it was summer, it was very cool. Cool, it was freezing. We were soaked because of the rain. The rain went through my rain jacket. I wore a rain jacket. I wore two actually. Through my two rain jackets, through all my clothes, everything I was wearing was completely soaked, like I had just jumped in the ocean. So it was cold, very cold. I recommend bringing Hokkaido, those little, I don't know what to call them in English because we don't have them in Canada. Those little things that heat up, you shake them and they do some kind of reaction thing and they heat up. That would have been awesome. Can you use those in the rain? I don't even know. But my hands started to get so cold that I couldn't feel my fingers anymore, so I was starting to get worried that I was going to get frostbite or something. Those would have been nice. So I recommend either very nice waterproof gloves or bring some Hokkaido with you. Got to the 6th station, and at the 6th station there was nowhere to take shelter. So even though it was pouring rain, there's really nowhere you can hide under or anything. You're stuck out there. What we did do there was buy some snacks. You can buy some snacks. There's a little store that sells snacks. You can't go into the store. They'll sell it to you through the window. And there was a washroom where you can take a washroom break. They do ask you to pay, I think it was 100 yen at the first station. It gets more expensive as you go up the mountain. They ask you to pay a little bit to cover washroom maintenance costs or whatever. But if you happen to not have change on you, then you'll still be allowed to go in. There's just a little box where they ask you to put the money in. So you should do that if you can. So yeah. That was the 6th station. And we went up to the 7th station, and the 7th station was great. We were allowed to go inside. We had to buy something. You weren't allowed to just go in and rest. You had to buy something. They had coffee, tea, ramen. If you brought your own cup ramen, then you could pay 200 yen, and they would put some hot water in it for you. So that's what we did. I've got some video of that. I will add that in here, I guess. We're at the 7th station now. 7合目の休憩室にいます。今、ホットチョコ買いました。400円でした。でも、すごく美味しいです。今からカップラーメンを食べます。
How are you doing? How are you doing? Cold? Cup ramen has never looked so delicious in my life. I can't wait. We have to be quiet because there's some people sleeping in the room next to us, but just wanted to let you guys listen to the rain. We got in here at a good time. It's like pouring outside now. Ramen.
So yeah, the 7th station was great. Thank you, people in the 7th station. You saved our lives. We were so cold and so wet, and so happy to be able to take some time to warm up. So after we had warmed up a little bit, we went back outside into the Typhoon. The weather was getting worse, by the way. It never got any better. It gradually got worse and worse. And we headed for the 8th station. The trip between the 7th station and the 8th station was ridiculous. It was long and hard and like dangerous. It was really hard. It was the hardest part of my climb, my experience anyways. So be prepared for that. Eat a lot. Take a nice rest at the 7th station. And be very careful climbing up to the 8th. There were some really dangerous, steep, rocky, climby areas. So anyways, a couple hours later, we made it up to the 8th station, finally, and we really, really, really wanted to go inside. We were so tired and cold and wet, but they didn't have one of those like cheap coffee places. I don't know, like the one at 7th station, we bought like a coffee and some hot water for our ramen, and then we were allowed to hang out there. But this one, you had to pay for the amount of time that you wanted to stay in the shelter. So I think we paid 3,000 yen, and then we were allowed to stay there for 3 hours. I think that's right, sorry if it's not, but it was something like that. So it was about $35 to be able to stay in the shelter for 3 hours. We didn't want to spend that much, but we were cold, and we probably would have gotten some horrible, like, sickness if we had gone outside for any longer. So we went in, we paid the money. I think actually we ended up paying more after that because we wanted to stay longer. We really didn't want to go out in the weather, in that horrible weather, and we were just waiting for the rain to clear up, but it never did. Actually, it probably would have been better for us to just not have gone into the shelter and kept going because the weather got worse and worse as we were in there. I think we were in there for a total of 5 hours. And now the men and the young boys, it was all men, that worked in the station were ridiculously rude. And me and my classmates kind of got the feeling that they didn't like foreigners. There were also a couple Japanese climbers that were resting in the house. I guess it's kind of like a house, resting in the shelter with us, and we noticed that the workers would treat them very nicely, and they would be super rude to us, like ridiculously rude. Like you'd laugh, like, are these people human? For one thing, I use Japanese. You guys know that I speak Japanese. I used very polite Japanese when I was talking to them, but they were so rude that I just wanted to use really rude Japanese back to them. But I didn't. I kept my cool, and I was very polite to these people, but they were so rude in return, and it just made me so angry and disappointed. But yeah, for one thing, we were soaked when we got in there. We asked them if we could pay them some money to borrow a towel and dry off, and they're just like, no, sorry. We're like, okay, maybe they don't have a towel, whatever. Of course they have a towel, but like, whatever, we just told ourselves, okay, maybe they don't have a towel, whatever, there's nothing we can do. So we just sat on the benches and did nothing. There was nothing to do in there. We were just sitting. And then my classmate was really tired, so she asked them, could I go upstairs? They had a little room where you could lie down and take a little nap. And she said, can I pay some extra money and go upstairs and take a nap? And they're like, no. Like, okay, but isn't that what the shelter's for? And they're just like, no, sorry, you can't do that. They didn't say sorry, they were just like, no, you can't do that. Like, okay, maybe they don't let guests up there. Then we see 2 Japanese men come down out of that room, 2 Japanese climbers come out of that room. So, oh, so climbers are allowed to go in there. So, honestly, they are very, very racist. So if you are white or obviously not Japanese and you are climbing Mount Fuji, be prepared for this. I have never had any racism issues in Japan ever. Like in the cities, in the countryside, everyone always treats me with respect, and they are not racist whatsoever in general. But these people up in the high shelters on Mount Fuji are like a whole other story. They are disgusting. So don't expect people in the shelters to help you. If you are cold or sick or injured, they are not going to do anything for you. So don't expect that, and bring lots of your own things to help. Some extra towels wrapped in plastic in case it rains. I wish I did that. Actually, I did do that, but I didn't wrap them well enough. Wrap your things very tightly so they don't get wet, because if it starts to rain, the one thing you are going to want is a nice dry towel to dry yourself off. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck being soaked the whole time. And we were climbing for over 10 hours. This isn't a short trip. So yeah, we spent our time in that shelter and waited for the sun to come up so that it wouldn't be as dangerous to continue our climb. The sun came up, and the weather was still horrible, so we gave up at the 8th station. We all wanted to go to the top, but it was honestly very dangerous. So we decided to give up at the 8th station and just go home. So we started our trek down from there. Now the way down is a lot easier, thank God. It is a very wide and, God, what is that word in English? Not steep path, so it is not difficult at all. The weather sucked, so it sucked, and it was the wind was so strong that it was painful. The rain hitting us was painful, and the wind was like, again, blowing us over, literally. So in that aspect, it sucked, but the way down is a lot easier than the way up, so don't worry too much about the way down. It did take us a few hours to get down there, and there aren't any stations on the way down, so be prepared for that. There's really nowhere you can rest other than just plopping down in the middle of the path and resting for a while. But yeah, I took some video of our way down on the path, because that was the only place that I could really take any video. The way up was pitch black, so you guys couldn't see anything. I did take some video, but really it's pitch black and you can't see anything, but I guess I'll show it to you just so you can see how dark the mountain was. But I did take some video on the way down when we were almost at the bottom, so I will put that in here. You can check that out.
Some words of advice for climbing Mount Fuji. Don't! Having fun?
Not really.
We're at the 7th station now. On the way home. We're almost there. Yay! As you can see, lovely weather on Mount Fuji. I think we've got another.
I would wave my hand.
If you could move. I think we've got another. How much longer do we have to get down there? Hour or so, maybe?
I hope.
Maybe an hour. Yeah, this is the scene on Mount Fuji.
So, as for advice on things to bring, I wore Converse. And lots of the other climbers looked at my Converse and were like, "Whoa, Converse, you're brave." Yeah, Converse weren't the best idea, but honestly, nothing would have kept my feet dry, so I don't really regret not wearing any other kind of shoes, but grip-wise, the Converse sucked. Something with a better grip would have been nice for the slippery rocks, for sure. But if you go slow, you could survive with Converse. I did. Flashlight with batteries, very important. I brought lots of water with me, and I didn't drink any of it. So I regret bringing it all because it was so heavy and my back really hurt from carrying it in my bag. But if you go on a hot day with nice weather, I'm going to assume that you're going to want lots of water. So if you do make it up there on a nice day, bring lots of water with you. We also brought some cans of oxygen. It depends on the person, but some people get high altitude sickness as they get up to the higher parts on the mountain, so it is recommended to bring cans of oxygen with you. We didn't end up using them. It didn't affect me at all. I don't know if that's because I only made it up to the 8th station, but I think that's pretty high. I still think that's around 3,000 meters. I'm not positive, but it didn't affect me at all. I didn't feel sick other than I felt extremely exhausted because I'd been climbing for hours in a typhoon. But oxygen, bring that just in case. You can buy it. I'm not sure where my friend got it actually. The dollar store might even have it in Japan. They have everything here. But if you can't find it at the dollar store, they will sell it at the 5th station on the mountain. Or maybe like a sports store might have it. But bring some oxygen with you. It's not heavy, easy to stick in your bag. Bring some snacks. Bring lots of snacks. Buying food on the mountain is really expensive. You're probably going to want to buy some hot water from the people, and you can mix your own like hot chocolate, or bring some tea bags and a mug, and you can make like your own tea. That would have been a great idea. I didn't do that. I did bring my own cup ramen, and I'm glad I did. So bring some food and bring money because if you get stuck in crappy weather and you want to go into one of the shelters, you're going to need to pay lots of money, and there are no exceptions. They don't care if you're injured or you're exhausted. You still have to pay the money or no shelter for you. And bring coins so that you can pay for the washroom, because if someone's looking, they won't let you go in unless you pay the money for the washroom. What else? Clothing-wise, it's hard to say because most of you aren't going to climb during a typhoon, but still I recommend that you bring a raincoat, because even if the weather's nice, I believe when you're climbing through the clouds that it's very misty and it kind of feels like it's raining even when it's not, so bring a raincoat with you. Bring a change of socks. And yeah, socks, nice socks would have been nice. Bring a towel and some socks and wrap those up tightly in a plastic bag. Of course, bring your camera and make sure you charge the battery fully, because if you make it up to the top in time for the sunrise, which is what we wanted to do, it would just be amazing. Like, I saw the videos on YouTube, but I was so looking forward to being able to see the sunrise from the top of the mountain, but yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So bring your camera, charge the batteries nicely. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. Well, if you have money, as long as you bring money, you're going to be able to buy anything that you forgot on the mountain at the 5th station. Don't expect to be able to buy anything any higher up, because all they sell there is snacks and drinks, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I guess that is it. So overall, the experience really sucked. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm assuming that if I had gone on a nice day, then I wouldn't have needed to go into the shelters, and I could have just slowly climbed up the mountain and enjoyed myself. So if you do, don't let this video discourage you from climbing Mount Fuji. I was just very unlucky with the weather that we got. The attitude of the people in the huts probably isn't going to change, but you know, if it's sunny, you're not going to need to go into the hut. So you can still have a wonderful experience climbing the mountain. And the climbers that you meet on the way up are always really, they were all really friendly, and it was really cool to talk to them. There were lots of people from other countries. I met a guy from Mexico. He's in the video on the way down the mountain. You probably saw him. He had a bonnet on his head. Yeah, he was really cool. New Mexico City. And there were people from France and got all over the world. Mostly foreigners I met. There were lots of Japanese climbers as well, but mostly foreigners climbing the mountain. But as horrible as it was an experience. I learned a lot. I could tell people I attempted to climb Mount Fuji now, and I think I will do it again, but I'm going to make sure that it's going to be nice weather. The problem is you can't. Of course, we looked at the weather report for the night we were going to climb, and it said 4 millimeters of rain, which turned into like 4 meters of rain. So you cannot trust the weather report, but even if it says a little bit of rain, I'm going to tell you don't go. Just don't do it. Wait for a day that says sun, 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 sun. And yeah, I think I'm going to try it again. I'm going to wait for a nice sunny day, and maybe I'll give it another shot. But it was hard. I needed about 4 or 5 days to recover, but that's probably because I don't exercise that much, so my muscles were insanely sore. But yeah, I guess that's about it. If you have any questions, I'm sure I forgot to say something really important. So if you have any questions, ask me and I will try to answer those. And I apologize for not being able to get any nice pictures or video for you guys. Next time. Talk to you later. Bye.